one of these where it's encroaching into the people's property and it needs to be moved back to the property line. But I think that one.
He's in the hall. All right.
I'm just wondering what that is.
Welcome to our council meeting for tonight, July 10th, 2019. We will begin with an invocation by Pastor Sharp from the Trinity Lutheran Church, and then we will have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Jason.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here today. Isaiah wrote in the first chapter to God's city, the city of Jerusalem, which was in need of much help. I will turn my hand against you. I will thoroughly purge away your dross and remove all your impurities. I will restore your leaders as in days of old, your rulers as at the beginning. Afterward, you will be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. We pray, Heavenly Father, you've preserved your words for us. Give us ears to hear the wisdom. May those of us chosen for leadership always pursue and preserve your high standards for our city. Cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Keep us on the way of peace. Keep in faith here today all who hold your Son, Jesus Christ, as their rock and source of salvation. May all who participate in today's meeting recognize your wisdom, and may every act of this council be undertaken to your glory and the strengthening of your kingdom here in Cedar City. Bless all here today with wisdom and grace, and bless our city, that it continues to endure and prosper under your loving care. In Jesus' strong name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm trying to set a new record of Jason talking. All right, we will now move on to the agenda order approval. Are there any items the council would like changed? And if not, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the agenda order as outlined.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, council business.
I wanted to thank the committee that put on that 4th of July parade. Beth Stephenson did just a marvelous job of putting that together. I missed it because I was elsewhere, but I've heard nothing but rave reviews about how it took us back to the roots of our freedoms, and they just did an excellent job. I know there are other things that need to be said about the parade and some of the decorum during the parade, but we as a city were able to provide some warehouse space that allowed them to build those floats. And I think our citizens should know that we contributed that much to what I thought was a very, very good effort.
It was.
The other thing I wanted to talk about is there is on Royal Hunt. What's the street that is east of Ridge Road?
Bentley Boulevard, just
Yeah,
below
it is
it.
Bentley. There is a pothole there, and I know one of our constituents tries to ride his motorized wheelchair off the curb there. You know, there's the normal cut at the corner, but because of that pothole, it's a pretty dangerous thing to negotiate. And so if we could look at that pothole there on Bentley, I think that would be a value to us all. I've been almost lost in that pothole turning the corner, but for someone in a wheelchair, it's pretty frightening. So
Thank you.
I have a couple of things, Mayor. I first of all wanted to let everyone know that the Historic Preservation Commission has been busy, and we have a wonderful historic district that has been designated on the National Historic Registry between 100 West and 300 West. And we do have a series of 3 signs up in those neighborhoods designating that area. And we're actively fundraising to raise the rest of the funds we need 3 more signs total to designate the whole area. But we began something 2 weeks ago in conjunction with the Final Fridays. We had our first historic downtown walking tour, and we didn't know whether we were going to have 6 people or 5, but we had 80. And it was very exciting. And Ryan Paul, the local curator at Frontier Homestead, is on the commission. He led the walking tour on the 2-block radius, starting at Boomer's restaurant and going all the way down to the Town and Country, out showing buildings, outlining the various buildings, showing photographs of what was previously there and some of the distinguishing marks. And it was very interesting. And we will be continuing this in conjunction with the Final Friday Art Walks, which are the final Fridays of every month. The next one is July 26th, and then I believe August 30th, and September, whatever that final Friday is. They begin at 7:30 at the corner of the Boomers building, and these are free. We encourage people to come and learn about the history of our community and some of the very interesting stories about businesses. But in that process, I noticed that we have a couple of places, particularly down on the northern end of Maine, where around the trees, the bricks that are still there are extremely uneven, and they need to. We had some people almost fall on one of them walking down there, and then I noticed there's a great deal of weeds in our sidewalks on Main Street, particularly over. I don't know why the east side. I guess it gets that morning sun, and it just. I mean, excuse me, the west side. It just loves that. There's all kinds of weeds in all the cracks in the sidewalks, and I'd like to see if we could get some Roundup out there and address those. And then, secondly, I would just like to publicly thank the fire department, particularly Chief Phillips, who sort of held my hand through the fireworks demonstration last week, and I'm here this week, so I lived through it. Even though we were in the kill box, it was an amazing experience, and I really want to thank our department for the extraordinary work they do in getting those fireworks ready. I know our public sees about a 16 or a 17-minute show, but it takes months of preparation and 3 solid days of work just getting it wired and prepped and done. And all the time they're doing that, I have to tell you, I was sitting there with the chief trying to help cover up things he's already done and fire a few of my own. They were the really big ones, I'm sure, the ones I did. But we had the radio on, and there were fires going on everywhere all over town, and he was dispatching engines everywhere in town. So kudos to our fire department, and thank you for the excellent fireworks show.
I'd like to echo what Craig said and just say kudos to the Stevensons for their organization. And I'd like to mention some of the other names on the committee. I think that the parade was incredible. I've been concerned the last several years about the parade not really having, the patriotic theme, and I think that they've really brought that back. And I, as well attended as the parade was, I think when word has gotten out, I think it may double again next year. I really believe that. They're going to reuse the floats. They're going to, in fact, is Beth here tonight? Oh, she's coming next week. Okay.
She will come.
Yeah, she's wanting to help. She wants some help from the city to find some places to maybe store some of the items that were, that they use for the floats. See what we could do as a city to help them with that. But I get my phone to cooperate. But I really do think that this is going to, the 10 floats that they built, and different people sponsored those, and they'll have an opportunity to sponsor the same float the next year for a lesser price. And I think it'll grow and build on what we've come. And I think people will even come from out of town to see what we've got going. I think it's gonna be awesome. But in addition to Chris and Beth Stevenson, there was Teresa Cummings, Tim Lewis, Hillary Carter, Alicia Grant, Diane Gubler. She was over the storyboard. Jen Bach was costumes, Randy Seeley, float design and construction, Julie Griffin, Cedar Valley Community Theater. And I just think that we owe them a great deal of gratitude for what they did. So thank you.
Agreed.
Right. Is there?
I do want to hopefully maybe hear from the chief. I don't know if that'll come under staff comments, but we'd like to talk a little bit about the 4th of July parade and some of the safety concerns that have appeared. And so I don't know if that's going to come under staff comments. Okay, thank you.
All right. Is there anything else from the council? Okay, then we will move to staff comments. It's you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Chief Adams with the Police Department. I've got two quick issues and I'll try to be brief. The first one that's actually on the agenda is the easy discussion. If you recall, in the budget hearings, we talked about a fee for that, for the easy classes. That's our Eliminate Alcohol Sales to Youth. Just a quick history. In 2000, prior to 2006, us and the Orem Police Department were the pioneers of that program. That's where we bring all retailers in and teach them proper procedures and how to keep alcohol out of the hands of our youth. And in 2006, the state took notice and they adopted that. And for the last 13 years, they've been running that. We've continued to provide that public service to all of our local retailers and teach that class free of charge as a public service. As things have advanced, and timing wise, it's interesting that I come to you and ask for that fee. And then we had some changes at the state. What has transpired since then is Corporal Zach Adams, who oversees that, just recently went out and did his quarterly compliance checks to make sure all of our retailers were in compliance. And it's actually much easier and much more convenient for them to go online and take that training. And so he gave them that option to say, many were already doing that, but he said, if you'd like, we'll continue to provide that service. If you would like, the website will provide it and you don't have to leave the comfort of your store or home. And they've all opted to do that. And so as of now, we probably will cease teaching that class for the first time in probably close to 20 years. If we get a new retailer that comes on that wants that, we'll evaluate that each year as we go out and do compliance checks. But we think at this point, everybody has opted to take that online class and we'll do that. The website has been up and going for many years. And so all those retailers will be registered. And as they go from store to store, then they'll have that database. But so I may be coming back to you with a request to change our current ordinance if we end up not teaching that at all, which looks like that may be the case since the state is providing that option now.
Do they re-up that on an annual basis or as needed, or
The cost?
no, the certification or
So it's every 3 years is what the
every
state
3
does.
years?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, and then as far as the parade goes, I've communicated with all of you since then on some of the concerns that we've had, and there's several different, I guess, ideas. I'm certainly open to feedback and direction. As I mentioned to each of you, the root cause of this is obviously, in my opinion, parents and children, and trying to keep everybody back. I've reached out to colleagues throughout several different cities, Park City, Bountiful, Kaysville, Provo, Orem, many of these cities that have large events, and spoke with my counterparts up there, and they're not immune like us to these challenges. They've tried different ideas and thoughts. At one point they said, well, we just got rid of throwing anything, candy, balloons, frisbees from floats. We just didn't do it anymore. And Orem said, well, we tried that, and then the biggest offenders were mayor and council candidates, so we decided we had to bring that back. So anyway, that's kind of a joke, but they've tried to do that, and what they've realized, whether it's that or the citizens, that is an important part of why we do parades. Kids look forward to that, and we certainly as a police department don't want to get rid of that. We just want to try to find a safer way to distribute those things. And so I've got maybe some suggestions that we're willing to take on where we can improve that. And I've communicated most of those to you, but we would start by working with our organizers. In fact, I was on the phone today with Ed Goodwin, who is coordinating the 24th of July parade, just about having them make sure they tell everybody on the floats if they can please not throw from anything that's moving. My recommendation would be that those that are handing things out go to that white fog line. And that's really where we would like the citizens to be, is behind that white fog line, which is just 5 or 6 feet from the curb and gutter. Now, I know in larger parades and in the 4th next year, to Paul's comment, if it does double, that's going to be tough to fit all those people within that area. And so we may have to look at elongating the route. But I think if we can do that, and so one thing that we've thought about doing is having a recorded message. Chris Holmes with KSUB has agreed to record that for us. We can play it on one of our loudspeakers before the parade going down, just reminding people to stay back. That in conjunction with the parade organizers to have them keep their people out amongst the fog line to distribute that. One thing we're going to try, which is an idea I got from Orem, because we don't have staff to ride the motorcycles and our bicycle officers are limited for that 8 blocks, is to use golf carts. And so I've already met with Ken, and he's been great at supporting that. And so the idea would be to have 2 officers on. We have a UTV that we can use, and then some golf carts. 2 officers per block, 1 on each side, to just make that back and forth movement to continue to remind people to stay back. So those are kind of some of the thoughts that I think will be effective, as we try to maybe shift the culture and change behavior for the safety of our kids and our adults alike. So do you have any questions, concerns, further recommendations?
Sounds good.
Sorry, go ahead.
One thing we talked about is what about if we put some of this back on the parade organizers to see if they can have some volunteers help go along the route as well. So, I mean, parade organizers, they organize it, they hand out the permits to the different floats and participants, and they just help with some of this, so it's not all on the police department and volunteers, but the people that are also putting on the event help with some of the crowd control.
So years ago, I can't remember how many years ago, we changed that from 400 south to 200. What was that? Was that 4 or 5
Been
years?
3+ years.
3 to 5, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And we did that so our southern neighbors could get through town and get up the canyon easier, right? And
That was part of it.
That was-
Yeah, traffic.
I mean, what if we extended the route further, over, and I know Terry suggested this too, down to Mountain Mara Credit Union, maybe extend it 1 block that way. Could we look at going back to 400, or is that created what was the main issue? Them just getting around, they didn't know where to go.
Yeah, in fact, Ed brought that up today. He observed what happened on the 4th. The idea was to block it at 400 to allow a detour both east and west so people could get through the city, particularly those wanting to go up the canyon, because that was a hardship. And then allowed that block from 200 to 400 to be a staging area right on Main Street so we could keep floats off the surface streets. But what he observed is true. He said, there was so much traffic going down 400 to the east, and there were people still trying to line up there because the 4th had so many floats that they just didn't all fit. So that's our only concern, is we get a lot of people, or at least we did before, that would come up to the point and say, I don't know how to get, I'm supposed to get up 14, I'm supposed to get here, and there's just no easy way. That's the most direct route. You shoot over to 400 east, straight down, and up you go.
Have you looked at staging on the west side of Main Street somewhere? I mean, we don't have to stage it over on the east side of
true.
Main Street. We could stage somewhere else.
It's an option.
You can extend the route. I'm worried about if we send our officers to do the crowd control. They do a great job, but we would normally have a shift on during that time who's supposed to be out, not at the parade, out in the community.
Sure.
So you would have to bring in 8 volunteers. It's hard to get volunteers with our officers on a holiday when they want to go do whatever they do with their families, whether it's a picnic or camping or golfing or whatever, fishing. So I don't want to put all that burden on the police department to fix a problem that
I agree.
is, quite frankly, it's not our parade. We don't produce them. We don't own the street they go on, which is Main Street for the most part. We don't get the revenue from them. These other clubs they charge the entrance fees and get revenue from them. We have a very tangential role in the whole parade.
Yeah, but there is a perception that it is Cedar City's 4th of July parade. I mean, we know
It's
the Lions sponsor it.
It's the cities.
Right.
We don't even fund it.
Right. No, I
We don't
recognize
do
that.
anything to help it. So yes, it's an activity that happens in Cedar City.
Mhm.
But if there's a way to get the parade organizers to do that crowd control and that policing without having to bring our guys in and take their holidays away from them, because it's every summer.
Well, I think it's a good idea to try and do. I will tell you, having organized parades, it's a huge job.
Yeah.
And I think it has to be a combination. I've also thought there might be members of the Dixie Mountain Biking Association that would maybe, if we provide them all with some kind of a shirt or something, where they would come in, and perhaps a bike club could help us assist in some of this kind of stuff and might be willing to do something like that. So I think there's some solutions, but I think you're right on with some of your thoughts on that, because the last thing we want to do, we don't want anyone to get hurt, and we want this to be a safe, fun experience in the community. So I
Yeah, I
appreciate
would
you.
agree. I mean, there's been other communities that have had tragedies, and we don't want to be counted among them, for
Right.
sure.
Because I can tell you, just looking at the social media posts that I've seen, and there were a lot of them.
Yeah.
They weren't going after the Lions Club. They weren't going after UDOT. They were going after Cedar City and our lack of responsibility. So you may be correct, Mr. Bittman, but the perception is that it's our parade. So
Something to maybe think about. I know that Ed had approached the city, and it was too little too late about a different location on Center Street. And that's something we've talked about before. I know there's history and heritage and tradition with Main Street, but his recommendation was to stage at 300 West Center, and then you stage in the old junior high school swimming pool parking lot, which has ample room, and then you go west on Center Street down to 900 West. It could give you the same route. It would free up Main Street and all that holiday traffic. So maybe something worth considering. Would lessen the impact, still give plenty of space to watch the parade, but would lessen the impact on other commuter traffic.
then it is Center Street, so that's still a state street. But
Yeah.
moving the other streets, they are definitely city streets then, and we are responsible.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Are there other staff comments? No? Okay, then we'll move on to our business agenda with our public comment portion. If there's anyone that would like to address, come up, just make sure you state your name.
Do I need to stand at the mic?
Yes, that way it can be, because we record all these meetings.
Okay, great. My name's Jeff Birmingham, and I'm here visiting Iron County. It's great to be with you. I've been here for the last couple of days. It's been fun we toured WL Plastics and Genpack and Red Acre Farm and Paul's Cabinet Shop. Had a great time. Been meeting with community leaders. I'm an entrepreneur, an outsider, and I'm considering a run for governor in 2020 here in Utah as a Republican. I've grown several businesses along the Wasatch Front. I started a company as an undergrad at BYU, grew it and sold it to a NASDAQ listed firm, rolled the proceeds from that into real estate in 2003 when everything was good and up, invested in real estate, did well like everyone at that time, but knew that kind of appreciation was not sustainable. Sold the assets I owned in 2006 or so and stood up a real estate firm called Peak Capital Partners. We now own about $4 billion of real estate around the state. And most recently, as I looked back and remembered what it was like to stand up a startup here as a young student, I knew that there was an oversupply of good entrepreneurs, an undersupply of available capital. And so I stood up Utah County's first institutional venture fund. So for the last 5 years, I've invested about $50 million in equity our firm has in startups along the Wasatch Front. That has created over 5,000 jobs. And I'm proud of those jobs. I love Utah. My daughter, Claire, is here with me tonight. Claire, can you just stand up and wave? She's 12 years old. I have 4 children at home, and they're all publicly educated. My wife is a second grade school teacher. I am passionate about Utah, and I'm passionate about the Republican platform. And at the heart of that platform, there's a powerful message. And it's a message about the power of individual freedom. It's a message and a belief that when we are free, we create the best lives for ourselves, and we can change the world when we are free. The secret sauce in Utah's recipe of success is certainly the people of Utah, all of you and all the people in Cedar City. It's about the people of Utah, and it's about them being free. That's what I'm passionate about. I'm on a listening tour currently. I've been to 27 of the 29 counties in Utah thus far. And as I've traveled to rural counties, it's been very enlightening for me to understand the challenges that rural counties face. We need to build more deep connective tissue, in my opinion, between urban and rural Utah, between the Wasatch Front and the rural counties in the state. There are economic ways to do that, and there are other ways to do that. Again, my name is Jeff Birmingham. Thank you for letting me take a couple minutes tonight. I'm grateful to be able to just introduce myself, say hi, and I would love to hear your thoughts or ideas, anyone's ideas of how we can make Utah better, what you may be concerned about, etc. I'm having another meeting after this one tonight at 7:00. Would love anyone to come and would love to meet you. So thank you for having me.
Mr. Birmingham, I would just say that we are passionate about Cedar City, and we would love to have investment in Cedar City.
Yep, I understand. And I think there are ways to do that. Thank you.
All right. Yes.
I'll be quick. I'm here. My name's Mac Urey, here with the DMBTA Cedar Chapter, Dixie Mountain Bike Trail Association.
I didn't even know you were here, and I'm giving you that big
You're
shout
already
out to come and
assigning
volunteer
duties
for us.
to us without even letting us know.
He
so
does that. Watch out.
I know, right? So just wanted to announce to you guys the 13th hole trail cutting is this Saturday at 9:00 at the trailhead at the golf course. I don't know if you guys knew that was happening, but it's actually built on all of Cedar City property. None of it's on the BLM. And we, in conjunction with the BLM, the DMBTA, and a bunch of other volunteer organizations, some Eagle Scout projects, and a few other people have built that trail. Sweated it out with Wayne a couple times, had a good time. He was up there swinging a pick and a shovel. Built a couple 100 feet with him a couple Saturdays, so that was fun. But it's an awesome beginner to intermediate trail. It's maintains a very simple grade, so it's B1 that an entire family can go on. It'll be for mountain biking, hiking, and trail running, and it's accessed right off of that trailhead that went to nowhere. This is finally a trail that is purposeful for that trailhead. So you can park right. The ribbon cutting will be at the trailhead. It'll be at 9:00. There'll be donuts and some coffee and juice or whatever, and then there'll be a big group ride that'll go.
Where specifically? I don't know where you're referring to.
Well, I don't know what the
trailhead.
address is, but as you come around from, Cedar City Motor and go past the pump house, that first roundabout, there's that restroom facility on the right-hand side with the small parking lot. That's the trailhead.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's where the ribbon cutting will be. And it's just a great asset. So that's the completed trail in the system to date. And then this fall, at the end of the year, we'll have a few others that are completed there. So it's the furthest north trail in the system right now. So that's a good thing because everything's been focused on the southern portion of the city currently.
Mac, how long is the trail?
It's just over 3 miles. So it's a 3-mile loop. It can be ridden counterclockwise or clockwise. It's a little soft right now just because of the material that it's in, but it was built by hand and there were certain sections of it that were machine builds. So anyway, I just thought you guys ought to know about it. We appreciate some city council representatives since it's on city property and it's something that can be pushed and it's right next to, that's the beauty of all of the trails here that our town has that no other town has. I hope you guys can appreciate that these trails are literally in our backyard. Yep. Even Moab and Park City and Draper, all these areas, they have to travel to the trailheads where we can eventually, what we're pushing for is to have the paved trail system incorporated with these trailheads that are going in, but you can literally ride from your home to these trails. And again, this system will be over 100 miles of trail along the east side of Cedar when we're completed with it. So anyway, hope to see you out. It'll be a quick, short little picture. We'll get a photo and do the ribbon cutting. The HOA president of the community up at the golf course is going to cut the ribbon. BLM will be there, DMPTA, and then we'd hope to have some Cedar City guys out. 9 a.m. Yep. Come grab a donut. Bring your bike. We'd love to have you guys.
Sorry, we're out of town this week, or we'd come out.
You'd come out. Wayne helped build it.
I know it. He'll feel bad.
Yeah.
We're out of town too, but thanks for all your efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're committed to continuing to increase the quality of life through mountain biking and trail building here in Cedar. So
Been a great
Will you
job.
get
Thank
with
you.
me, Mac? Will you get with me and we can put something in the next newsletter?
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
the expansion of the trails
Mhm.
and the mountain biking
Yeah,
ones, just to let the residents remind them
Yeah.
that all of this exists.
So this is another spur that's going to tie into Thunderbird Gardens. So this trail was built, and then from this trail, the spur will dump into Thunderbird Gardens, which in my opinion is a huge asset for the city. We could do rappelling there, I mean, in conjunction with SU and the BLM, but this is the first trail that's specifically on Cedar City property. So I know that there's an MOU with BLM in conjunction with this, but it's city property. It's beautiful views. You're right up there above the golf course, looking out over the town, and it's something that an entire family can enjoy. So that's what it was. It was purposely built for a beginner to intermediate to have more use on it than normal. So anyway, but yeah, I'd love to. I'll look up with you later this week.
Perfect. Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks, guys.
As a side note, remember, while we're talking about bikes, the next slow roll is
I was just gonna say,
tomorrow
tomorrow.
at 6 p.m.
And it starts in the same location down by the Alumni House, I believe.
I think so.
6 to 8 tomorrow, the Cedar City Slow Roll.
All right. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? No? Okay, then we'll get on with our public agenda and the consent portion. Item number 1, approval of minutes dated June 19th, 2019. Ratify bills dated June 28th, July 1st, and 2nd, 2019. Approve doing an RFP for information technology services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Okay, we'll move to the action agenda. Item number 4, consider an ordinance amending the city's transportation master plan for the realignment of master plan road off Westview Drive.
Dallas Buckner, Go Civil. With Kit not being here, I had a couple meetings with him, so I might be able to answer any questions if you guys have more, Jonathan. But
Questions, comments, concerns?
My only question really, since we are looking at amending the master plan, what is the exact coordinates we're looking at approving for this master plan? Is it 1575? Is it, what exactly are we looking to approve?
You mean like the north and south
Yeah.
light coordinates?
Yeah, if we're approving a master plan, we are approving a master plan road at 1575 South, connecting with,
So 1,320 feet aren't good enough for you? Me either. I'm just kidding.
it's good enough for me. I don't know if it's good enough for the,
So do you
Yeah.
want the exact roads?
Yeah, we
name?
want
It would be 1800 south.
1,800. Okay.
Is that correct, Dallas?
as far as
from-
the
Showing my
From
map.
Okay.
1525 south,
1525
moving it to 1800 south,
Okay. Thank you.
connecting with Westview.
Yeah.
At least that's what it says in your packets.
yeah, but this is going to sit on a master plan map for here on out. And I just wanted to make sure we know what we're doing here. I do, but I just wanted to make sure it was on the map and that everyone understood.
Are there other questions, comments? Motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we'll start with Councilman Hartley.
Aye.
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 Thank you. All right. Consider approval of vicinity plan for 4B Ranch Subdivision Phase 1, 4450 West, 1600 South.
Dallas Buckner, Go Civil. So this is the vicinity plan for 4B Ranch. It's we did the zone change a couple council meetings ago. It's phase 1, 31 acres or 38 acres, 31 lots, south of the Spring Creek subdivision.
Single family units, correct?
Yeah. So what's proposed on here is 1 acre lots.
Move to approve?
Second.
All right, we'll start with Councilman Adam. Oh, actually, this is just all in favor?
Aye.
Threw me off there for a second with it being on this one. All right, item number 6, consider resolution approving RAP tax allocation for the arts.
Mayor, I'd like to come back to the discussion of last week because I would like to support the recommendations of the committee, but I would like to amend based on the fact that there are some reserve funds available in the arts portion of RAP. And I would propose that we add, I've got to look at the sheet now, so I get to,
So after last week's discussion, I
Yes.
put an additional one with Councilman Phillips' recommendations.
oh,
there
thank you.
For the council to consider.
And it's there at the bottom, okay. And do I need to just explain what it is so you can,
If you,
Remind us which one.
yeah, if you explain it, that way the public also knows.
sure,
music on it.
absolutely. I was looking at 3 organizations, which for various reasons, only because I felt the reserve funds could be used in that manner. The recommendation of the committee was on the music arts, you can see above was, the request was 18,000, the recommendation was 6,275. And I'm recommending that we grant the requested amount. For the Cedar City Heritage and Livestock Festival, they had requested 17, they had granted 16. I was requesting the full amount of 17. And finally, the Orchestra of Southern Utah, I was recommending a full 18 where they had recommended 17. So it's a difference of, I believe, $3,275, $725, excuse me. That
Is
would
that a
be-
motion?
That is my motion.
I'll second that.
All right, then,
May I ask a question, please?
Yes.
So there was a request by the Cedar City Library for 6,000 out of preservation funds.
Yes.
Could we address that? I don't, if it's in this motion, fine. If it's in a subsequent motion, just so we're clear on whether or not you want us to fund that.
Oh, sorry. I'm fully supportive of the recommendations of the committee,
so
which
everything
included
else-
the 6,000 with the addition of these 3.
I assume those.
Okay, so are you still good with that? Your second?
Yes.
Okay, we'll start with
Wait,
Councilman.
hold on. Can we have, Joanne, would you address this? I just wanted to hear what the feelings were from the committee chair about changing their recommendations after all their hard work.
Joanne Bratton. As long as this money comes out of what I will call the pot, as opposed to changing the other recommendations, we're fine with it. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, my motion was not to change any of the other amounts.
Okay. So we'll start with Councilwoman Hartley.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Item number 7, consider resolution approving RAP tax allocations for Park and Rec.
Move to approve.
Second.
So just one clarification, in that move to approve, the Cedar Royalty are asking for 50,000 to be carried over for that up to 3 years.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we understood that.
Rotary, yeah.
Yeah, we understood
Yeah.
that.
That's for the that's for the water park.
Water.
That's the splash pad, right?
Okay. Who made the motion?
I did.
Who
I
seconded
seconded
it?
it.
Ron did.
Okay, we'll start with Councilman Adams.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay. Item number 8, consider an ordinance changing the general plan from low-density residential to high-density residential properly located at 100 East 1600 North.
Dallas Buckner, Go Civil. So this is the general plan amendment followed by the zone change. It's for 1.84 acres, existing general commercial. We got a favorable recommendation from Planning Commission to change it to R3.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we'll start with Councilwoman Hartley.
Aye.
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 Consider an ordinance changing the zone from general commercial to dwelling multiple unit R-3-M for property located at 100 East 1600 North.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we'll start with Councilman Adams.
Aye.
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 Okay, consider an ordinance changing the general plan for medium density residential to business and light manufacturing for property located at 100 North 4800 West.
Yes, Bob Platt, as you are aware, this received a negative recommendation from the Planning Commission, 3-2. Nothing's changed. There is no development plan at this time that we could, they just wanted, the request is to change it to INM1 in conforming with the property, the SUU property to the north. Nothing else to say.
All right. The council have questions, comments?
Well, my only comment sort of came last week. I'm not in favor of making this change. I think there's residential on both sides. I'd realized that there's IM1 in front with the SU family farm or the farm property there, but I'm currently not in favor of it.
I just wanted to make a comment that I did contact the owners of Windmill Plaza, and they are adamantly opposed to having that. They have just invested their money in doing residential where that's master planned residential in the middle of that. They were not in favor of us moving forward. So that kind of confirmed my feelings that they wouldn't want manufacturing. We've kind of established most of the heavy manufacturing is on the north side of 56. So that would be my thoughts.
Yeah, and I think that power line going through there is not going to allow for access either, like was kind of brought up
Right.
on the east side. So I'm not in favor of it either.
I oppose this as well.
Then can I have a motion?
Motion to deny.
Second.
All right, we'll start with Councilman Hartley.
Aye.
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 All right. Well, this is the second part. Consider an ordinance changing the zone from master planned development to industrial and manufacturing 1, INM 1 for property located at 100 North, 4800 West. This would be
Motion.
Also motion to approve or to deny that also.
I will second that.
all right. We'll start with Councilman Adams.
Aye.
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 All right. Consider an ordinance vacating a public utility easement in the Temple Cove subdivision.
Yeah, we'll try this one, okay? Bob Platt. I don't think there's much to say about this. This is vacating this rear utility easement right there on Lot 2, on the west and south sides of Lot 2, and on the south side of Lot 1. As they are planned, this is a parking lot will be constructed on these 2 lots, access from the temple. And so we are requesting to vacate that platted public utility easement where there are no utilities in it. They're all in the front they're all in the front,
All on the street.
along
right?
Temple Cove Drive. There are no utilities in there.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. We'll start with Councilman Hartley.
Aye.
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 That one went way better for
Way
you.
to go, Bob.
All right. Item number 13, consider bids for a rough mower at the golf course. You're so great.
Steve Carter with Cedar Ridge Golf Course. As you can see from the information that you received, are there any questions as far as the rough mower goes as to which one we're going to get? The John Deere.
So John Deere, are you okay with that in terms of
We are.
functionality? And
Yep, we've test drove both mowers. We own the Toro, but we test drove the John Deere last year, and it works really, really well, comparable with the Toro, and it's $8,000 cheaper. So
How will this be used? Is this out in the rough areas or is
no,
it?
it's so at the golf course we have fairway height cut,
Right.
and then the rough cut, and that's just
Okay.
what it is. We don't have it out in the sagebrush,
Gotcha.
anything like that. The last mower that went down last summer we bought in 2006, so we got about 13 years out of that.
Pretty good.
We really do well, I think, with stretching the use of our equipment, with maintaining it and things like that. So I think it'll be a good purchase for us.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.